that we've heard as well. So we'll be focused on kind of walking through the vision again, and just to remind everybody that a vision really is not, it's not a master plan, it's not a plan, it really is intended to be inspiration and ideas and optimism for the future, to represent what a community really wants to be 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years down the road. So we'll be talking about opportunities on private property, but again, recognizing that private property is driven by the market and by the private owner, not necessarily by the city. And so we don't want to take into account that the private property is something that the city is demanding, the city is implementing. Instead, it's really intended to be inspirational and idea-driven.
Susan, I'll give you a video.
Yeah. So as we're getting into, we know that the rationale for why we were hired to come into the community was to really build this vision for the Corey Avenue district. So just as a starting point, a branching off point, we just wanted to reiterate some of the other benefits beyond just having a nice looking downtown district. And of course there's health benefits from really doing these kinds of projects. We're implementing the designs to really encourage more walking. We know walking is a huge benefit to people's health. So the idea of bringing residents down into the area and establishing a safer and more pleasant walking area is really good for your health. And it also does something to increase your mental health by having more social connectivity with people. The more you're running into your neighbors and to residents and people that you know, the stronger social fabric the community has. Additionally, there's some safety benefits. So we know from research that well-designed streets will attract more pedestrians. And those pedestrians look out for one another. There's a theory out there called eyes on the street. So the more people on the street, the less crime you often see. There's a relationship there. So again, walking and making something more walkable can have public safety benefits from that standpoint. Also from the standpoint of improving the street and the pedestrian environment and the biking environment, you have less accidents. So that's an offshoot of this as well. So we're providing buffers for pedestrians, for cyclists, so it has a safer walking environment. And oddly enough, the more pedestrians you have, the more the drivers are paying attention to pedestrians. So the more people you have walking around, they found that the more drivers actually pay attention to the pedestrians. They're aware that they're there, rather than a few fleeting pedestrians here and there are less likely for drivers to see them. So again, some really strong public health and safety benefits. And even looking at bicycling as an economic engine. Communities all over the country are looking at bike economies, bike-friendly districts as a way to build a local economy. These are just two examples, obviously not related to St. Pete Beach, but Portland and Wisconsin really they document how much the cycling culture contributes to their own local economy. So it's a huge movement nationally to increase the bikeability of the community. And then looking more in depth at the return on public investment. So in looking specifically at some of the public infrastructure and streetscape movements that have been the project that we've identified. So these are, again, not examples necessarily specific to St. Pete Beach, but just some documented examples of where investment has been linked to economic development. So in the National Main Street, which is an organization that studies Main Street development, Main Street revitalization, says that for every dollar that's invested to a downtown in the public side, you get a $32 return on investment to the community through private investment. In Washington, D.C., they did a study that looked at the $8 million that they invested in public funds, and saw within 2 years they had 32 new businesses and another $8 million reinvested into the community. And that's a specific district there. Looking at another location in a small community in Lodi, California, they made a $4.5 million investment into streetscape and pedestrian improvements in a specific district, and they credited that with helping attract 60 new businesses, decreasing their vacancy rate from 18% to 6%, and also increasing the downtown sales tax revenue. So they made that connection to the investment in the public infrastructure, the public improvements, the streetscape, et cetera. And then finally, more local here in West Palm Beach, $10 million was invested into traffic calming improvements, fountains, and public event space, and even building restoration. And they noted that over that 5-year time frame of that investment, property values went up, commercial rents went up, and occupancy went up to 80%. And they saw quite a bit of reinvestment into the area as well. So there's lots of case studies like that, but just to reinforce that what you're doing here in St. Pete Beach isn't just for aesthetics. It really is for economics. It really is for public safety and public health. So with that, just a little reminder of us being out here last November and working closely with the community on walks throughout the downtown area and community workshops with interviews, small group meetings. We've heard lots of great input. tried to translate that into the concepts that we've been sharing over the last couple days, and realized that we maybe missed the mark on a few things based on some input, so we're ready to go back to the drawing board and fix some items and tweak some things as we go back to our offices. But those words that we heard still, I think,